When last we spoke, we were discussing a multi-line autofill widget that inherits from Tkinter text and autofills when you type just a few characters. This is very useful for saving you time in typing, especially with places, because you don't want to type city, county, township, province, nation, with all the commas between them, get it all right. You might have to actually look it up to see what some of those things are, how to spell them. So if you have an autofill that does it right for you, emphasis on doing it right, well, that's what Treebard likes to do. Now, we stopped using Treebard GPS. We're not using GPS anymore. That's a new development. It's on my blog. There is somebody else in the genealogy world that uses GPS. We're not going to say GPS anymore because we want people to be able to find us without having to wade through all the other GPSers out there. All right, so from now on, it's Treebard Genealogy Software. As far as I know, that's just going to do it. Treebard for short. This is our model where we're developing a new colorizer based on several old versions and the best of the best, because I've done it any number of different ways, and it's a little slow right now, so I'm going back to some stuff I used before, but also improving on that. And we're also working on the multi-line text widget autofill, which we almost finished in the last movie, but we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off. I had to add one line of code to make the multi-line functionality reveal itself. That was pretty easy. What happens is you type a character, and if there's any hits, in other words, any matches in a place field, you start typing in place. You type a B, you type an O, maybe Boston fills in. Okay, Boston is a hit because you type a B and an O, so you get Boston. When you type a character, then you might get a very long hit, in which case you're going to need more than one line to display your autofill text. Show hits. There you go. And this is the line that I added. We've met this line before. You have to set the height when you first create the table, because the table has content from the database, and then for each widget you set its height so that it's the right height. Let's go ahead and run this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You see, this text is longer. There's more words in here, so it needed 3 lines because we give it a set width so that the table doesn't get too long. You don't want to do horizontal scrolling across here. We try to keep things on one screen. You have to run set height when you first make the table, so each one of these cells is the right height, and then these text widgets size themselves to match the big one here. But now, we proved already in the previous movie that the autofill actually works. This autofills with event types, so I added a couple longer event types. I'll show you where I added those in the list of event types right here. You got marriage, marriage bands. Here I added thesis, published, master degree, and I also added ran away from home and was kept in a jail cell overnight for protection against the elements. It happens occasionally, I suppose. All right, so we've got an autofill. If I type an O, occupation fills in. This is a little hard to read, but that's because it's not a perfect color theme. If you type an R, residence fills in. If you type a T, oh my goodness, look what happened. Thesis, published, master's degree filled in, and it resized the text widget so that it would display all the text that's in it. Now what if I change this one to ran away from home with all that stuff in it? Oh, did you see that? Look at that. That works good, doesn't it? And you can also go in here, change this one to ran away from home. I'd say that's about finished. For now, that's good enough to put into the real app. This is just a model. What are we calling this? We're calling this Events Table Model 2024, because I'm redoing the events table altogether. Again, that autofill is now good enough to put into the real app, which is this, Treebard root. Anytime you see Treebard root with a number after it, that's the main application. You open this and everything else runs from there. So I'm ready to put that widget in, but first off, we already have made a model. Before we made a model for the autofill, we made a model for the color scheme, the colorizer I call it. We have a whole thing for the colorizing. There's not much to it, but there's a styles dictionary. Now here we got cell. What happens if we try to change this? What happens if we try to do the colorizing right now? We're going to get an error. Watch this. Okay, there's an error. Why? Because there's a key error, cell autofill. Key error means we're looking for a key in a dictionary, and the key is supposed to be cell autofill. Cell autofill is the name of the widget, the autofill widget that we've created. There it is, cell autofill. Okay, now for this colorizer to work, you have to have something called cell autofill, and it's going to have the same options, the same formats as the plain old cell, which it inherits from. So what you got to do here, one way to do this, I'll show you a better way too. One way is to just copy that and change the key to cell autofill. Now we can run this and it won't have an error. Everything's going to work just fine, and it's going to colorize. There you go, works just fine, no errors. Okay, and there's our different colors. Different color scheme is complete. Okay, and when you tab, you get your colors right, everything changed. Miraculous. Okay, it's very simple. This is the simplest and the best I've ever gotten it. We're just going to use that. So it's now time to put this colorizer into the main app. But first, let's just do one more thing, because look, this dictionary and this dictionary are identical. One is a copy of the other, and I don't like to do that. So let's delete this and do something a little bit different. Instead of having a string here for a key, let's have a tuple for a key. You can't have a list for a key because a list is mutable, but you can have a tuple for a key. If there's only one thing in your tuple, there has to be a comma after that one thing. So we're going to look in the tuple. Instead of looking for a string, we're going to look for a string in a tuple. So we're going to have a tuple with cell and cell autofill. Now all we have to do is add cell autofill here. What are we doing with styles here? We're looking in styles. This is subclass down here. This down here, opts, is this dictionary. So basically we have this outer dictionary. We've got a tuple for the main keys. For the main values, we have an inner dictionary. And inside the inner dictionary, we've got options. This is a Tkinter option. This is a key from Treebard.formats. Each of these dictionaries is going to be once. And if I have a widget called gobbledygook, the gobbledygook class has this exact dictionary, then we're going to list gobbledygook right here. Just like this. Gobbledy, etc. Like that. You can leave that comma there, it doesn't matter. Since this code's working good, let's make a copy of the whole thing. Keep the original in pristine, perfect, untouched, unbesmirched condition. There's the original. There's the copy. Now instead of automatically just going like the right options is style subclass, the subclass is no longer the key. The key is now at a tuple, so we've got to look in that tuple. So we're going to just add a simple condition. We have to do a little loop here. For tup in styles, if a subclass is in tup, then instead of doing this here, we're going to do it here. And if we do find the right answer, we're going to break out of the for loop. This for loop, not the outer for loop, because we still want to look through all the widgets. But once we define ops here, then we're going to use it here. One thing we have to do is change this. This has to be tup now. This now works perfectly. This now colorizes correctly. All we did was streamline the code a little bit. We already know it works. We just streamlined the code a little bit. There you go. The next step is we're going to go over to the main app and we're going to put our new colorizer in the main app. That's going to be a big project because it's a big app, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. I'm going to show you how I do it. After that, we're going to make a .exe file. We're going to take Treebard, the main app, with all its modules and everything, database and all. We're going to make a .exe so that all you have to do is double click. It's not an installation. It's still a portable program, but at this point right now, you have to go to my blog, treebard.proboards.com, and copy all the code one file at a time and make a bunch of files, which you still will have to do if you want to use the code to develop a genealogy software. But if all you want to do is just try Treebard, you don't want to go to all that trouble, so there's going to be a .exe file that I will update from time to time, make a new one from time to time when I make changes. So that all you have to do is get the files and double click and you're using Treebard. So that's our plans for the immediate future and the next movie or two. See you soon.